see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We work for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road.
What's up, JFW family? Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. Welcome back, everybody. Jim White's back in the house. We got Brother Dave and Super Dave.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good to be back. I listened to the last two episodes and I missed you guys.
Yeah, we missed you too.
It was good.
Tell us a little bit about your vacation.
It was awesome. It's so good to get away, Jam. It's funny I missed the first podcast because I was too busy and was trying to get ready to go on vacation. Then obviously missed the next one because I was on vacation. And then you get back and then you got to dig in and get caught back up. And you're like, man, the old thing is, was that vacation really worth it? But we had so much fun, me and Holly. It was great. Thanks.
That's awesome.
But it is good to be back. It was time. I don't know if you guys, when you take some time off, it's just like, maybe when you go hunting, Jam, you're like, hey, I'm ready to get back. I'm ready, and it was good. We had I kind of told everybody we had a funny lady on the bus that she was saying that her liver was tripping because at home she maybe has a glass of wine every week. And she says, I've been smashed for 5 days straight. And she said, I need to get back home bad.
Wow, that's funny. What was your favorite part of the podcast that you missed? What did you enjoy the most?
I really enjoyed Joe and Mike. I thought they did a great job. But Joe is an upbeat guy. He fills the room with a smile. And I met him at the CMCA, and it was what kind of, because you go to different little speeches there when you're doing stuff or seminars, and the seminar was about how to greet people, meet people, and things like that. And how I met Joe was they ask you to hug the person closest to you, and me and Joe were the guys that were the closest to each other.
Oh, wow.
And Joe gave me a big old hug, man. It was like it didn't faze him. He would have hugged the whole place,
Funny.
And then
Joe's not a big guy in stature, but he fills the room.
He does. And then I enjoyed listening to Mike also because he was factual, he was straightforward, well versed in his job. So yeah, it was enjoyable. And last week I just thought you guys did a great job. And I want to talk a little bit about it, but the podcast is so set up because I haven't listened to, because obviously I'm in them. I haven't listened to a lot of the podcasts because I'm in them, right? You guys, I mean, obviously you know that, but we give so much advice, but it's just down to earth advice. And it's not, I don't think we're bragging. I don't think we're boisterous about it. It's just, do you want to better yourself? And then it gets down to no matter what. And you guys covered it quite a bit last week. It's up to you, and I talk about this again. It is up to you. And Super Dave's High Road Hauling last week, and again, you guys talked about it, and anybody that listened to it, it was a mashup of everything. It was like a summary of a lot of your high road haulings, Dave.
That high road hauling last week, it was phenomenal.
Right?
It really
because it just mashed everything together.
I'm just laying it out there right now. My closing thoughts today, they ain't going to match.
Ooh, mine either. That's interesting.
Yeah. I got a new fire. I mean, it's a new year.
You're pissed off.
and it's funny. I mean, obviously, we'll get to the closing argument.
Let's just go to final thoughts.
let's just go there, make it a podcast. But it did have on the cruise. I at some point, and me and Holly had so much time together to have some really good conversations, and you're relaxing. But you still travel. You're on this phenomenal boat, depending on the packages you got, you get free food, and it's not free, but you've paid for it. But all the food you can eat,
Yeah.
Right.
all the booze you can drink,
Right.
as many little side trips off the ship you want to take, and do all that kind of stuff. But I still heard people complaining.
Oh, wow.
And I asked Holly at one point, I'm like, do I sound like that? And Holly's like, no. She was like offended, like I asked that, because I don't want to sound like that. I don't want to be that person. And I'm like, I've talked to you guys about it. The ship that you're set up to go on vacation, and it is so opulent. It is so amazing, and this was a fairly new ship that they put into service, and it had everything. Was the LED lighting, and one screen, and I tried to take a video of it. You walk into one of the bars and you walk past the screen, and you don't have to put your hand on it, but it's a whole mural. It's 30 feet long, probably 4 or 5 feet high mural of just butterflies. It's just white butterflies, big ones, like probably 5-inch. But as you walk past it, if you get your hand close, it disturbs the butterflies in the pictures, and they fly on the screen. And I'm like, you guys, I was like a little kid. I couldn't go down, and we went down that hallway a lot. My finger was out, my hand was out, my elbow was out. I was making the butterflies fly. And I think a lot of people didn't know that's what it did. Until you've seen it,
right.
and then people were like, they like just stare at me. But I had
Was
so
there
much.
a little jar of hand sanitizer at the end of the?
Well, that was the thing you had to know. You didn't have to touch it, Dave.
Right, but how many people did?
Oh yeah, everybody touched
Everybody
it.
was like,
yeah.
"What that do?"
But yeah, so yeah, thanks for asking, Jam. But it was but I missed here, but I enjoyed listening to the podcast because we have a message, and I'm disappointed if you're not listening, or if you're a person that works here and quit listening because you think you've heard it all.
Right.
And I don't. Man, there's just, it might be the same message, but if you're done listening, you're done growing. Mm-hmm. And I just, God, we have to, and I know what Dave's going to talk about because he mentioned it a little bit. It's the same thing that if people aren't getting involved, they're not growing. And what Dave's going to talk about, I'm going to say we're stagnant, but we're stagnant because we're letting other people make our decisions, and it's just not a good spot. And I think that about, I've been asked in the last couple of weeks, and when I got back, by one of the team members here, I said something about, are you going to do this, or however the conversation, and they looked at me and said, is that what you want? And I said, no, I mean, what I want a shoebox full of hundreds, or I want to never work again, or I want Dustin Romero to be healed and back here working. I want Rico.
Poof, you're healed, Dustin.
Right? I want Rico to be done with his cancer.
Yeah.
What I want, there's a lot of things I want. But in the format of JFW, what I want is what everybody should want, the same thing I want. And that is the best for JFW. And how do we achieve, what can you do to achieve that? What is your part in that role? But that role goes any place. It's, no matter if you're gonna drive truck, you want the best truck, right? You want to take care of that truck. If you're at home and you're in a relationship, don't you want the best marriage?
Of course.
If you have kids, don't you want them to be, when they grow up, to be the best humans they can be?
I feel like we jumped to closing arguments.
I mean,
I missed you guys. I'm sorry. I'm happy.
He's bottled up.
I could literally piggyback that with my final thought. Why don't we do the Pledge of Allegiance instead?
Well,
I want to be sure everybody jumps in on the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's what I was, because
if you're sitting in your truck, if you're somewhere you can say it out loud, man, say it out loud, because we need to rebuild American pride in America. It like gives me chills, because when we say it, we're sitting here in the studio and we're looking at the American flag over there in the corner, and not everybody has that opportunity. Whether you're driving, no matter what you're doing, Take a few seconds and say it with us.
Hey, Dave, there's, here's our closing arguments.
Yeah.
But the ship went to several islands, right? And the last island we went to was St. Thomas. That's a U.S. Virgin Island. Their flag was the United States of America flag, and it said U.S. There was U.S. soldiers walking around.
I bet you liked it. Made
I
you feel good,
loved
didn't
it,
Yeah.
Dave. I loved it. There was two, I'm going to call them PT boats, or
Yeah.
I don't know what size.
Big number on the front.
in
You're
the port, and I was like, my chest swelled out, man. This is America, and I'm on some island.
But we need to rebuild American
Here,
pride.
right?
Here.
And
Yes. We've become entitled. We don't have to work for anything. We just deserve it.
yeah,
And the men that fought, the men and women that fought for that
yeah,
in the wars past, people have forgotten.
yeah. And I loved seeing our men in uniform. There's just something. That's just a pride. And if you don't feel that, I'm going to be get out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say right here, Megan Rapinoe, the women's U.S. soccer team, you are on the women's U.S. soccer team. If you can't stand for our national anthem and you don't believe in America, leave, please. Make us a better country and leave. Go play for someone else. Just leave.
There's got to be a better player than her out there.
There's got to be.
Better person.
What was
Yeah.
she protesting, Dave? I didn't hear about this little story, but
I mean, Dave,
it's
she's done
been
it for
that way.
years.
Yeah,
she's been on the
done
U.S.
that.
Olympic
Yeah.
team for, I don't know, is this her third go-round? I mean, she's an amazing player,
okay.
but it makes me sick,
I
Dave.
didn't
It
know.
makes me sick. You're on the U.S. soccer team, the United States of America, and you don't stand for our national anthem?
Well,
Sickening.
I could see what the problem is. I didn't know who that was, so I Googled her, and I could understand why she's not standing.
Right, Jim? Right, there's the.
She looks like
Don't judge that book by its cover.
She just looks like she ain't gonna stand.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we have allowed. Right? Why do we allow that? So, anyway, let's do our pledge.
It's not that we've allowed that. We have celebrated that, Dave, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it's terrible.
You've been talking about not a new format for the podcast, but doing something different. Let's just start from the back and work our way forward.
Into with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, wait.
That's not bad.
Well, it's not written down that way. I don't think I can follow.
That would be starting on the last page, Dave. Go forward.
Damn, that means I would have to organize my final thoughts every time before.
You'd have to tell the punchline of your dad joke before the joke. All right.
Everybody look at me. The green shoes. What?
To get to the other side.
Yep, exactly.
Well, that was hilarious.
Oh my gosh. We got a good one going.
Yeah.
We got a good one going. Are we
Somebody-
ready?
Was it Super Dave said downstairs? Well, we better start talking because we got a podcast to go.
Yeah. We're 10 minutes in, haven't even got to the pledge yet.
Yep.
But,
we ready?
But to your point, say the pledge with us. That'd
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
awesome. Yep.
Say it with us. Please join us.
Yep.
Bring back that American pride.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Dave's doing it right now, too. So if you're going to join us and you have a chance to join us, take your hat off. Be respectful.
Keep your eyes on the road if you're driving. Keep your eyes on the road if you're driving. I'm good with the excuse of two hands on the wheel.
I got scolded in the Vatican when we were in Rome on vacation. So you walk into the Sistine Chapel, you can't take any pictures. It's really a different vibe from the rest of the tour. I wasn't even thinking, and then this old Italian lady comes up to me and pushes me and says, "Take your hat off." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And then her daughter comes up to me, and she was like 40 something. "Oh, I'm so sorry about my mom." And I said, "No, please. I'm sorry. I should have known better." So yeah, take your hat off.
So do women take their hats off when they go in there, Dave?
Yeah, everybody takes.
So if there was a funeral there back in time and all the women had their hats and veils on, they take their hats off?
I don't think they did funerals in the Vatican. I think they held mass in the Vatican, and that's what they did.
Okay.
But I would have to. I would
It
like
is.
to research why do you remove your cap? I know it. Is it a military thing? Do you know, Jim?
I don't know. I don't agree with it. I took mine off just because you brought it up. You know what I mean? But I go to church with a hat. I mean, you shouldn't be having a hat on. Doesn't relate to your love for anything. Like, to me, I can love God just as much with my hat on as with my hat off. And my Jesus, he won't judge me for wearing a hat. You know?
But I don't think it's about the being judged. It's something military with the flag. I think I would like to look it up.
That could be. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because
Well, that's different than church.
it is. But that
I
we're
don't
talking
think
about
so. I think it's about respect.
Well, I think it's the
a show of respect, whether it's for God
Or the
Jesus,
flag.
or the flag, or your country, or whatnot.
The dinner table.
Yep.
What's disrespectful about it, though, I guess is my question.
Yeah, that's what I don't. I mean, why are you removing your cap for the flag? I mean, I think it's something.
We're about to find out right now.
Are there people there with hoodies on, Jim? And they have their hoodies pulled up at church?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's a lot of people, but I bet there's some kid that's got his hoodie on.
I bet so too.
One thing I just found for the national anthem, removing the hat is a symbolic gesture of loyalty to the country.
For the national
I
anthem,
would not have thought of that loyalty.
Yeah, that's what I was just. I mean, that's what I was trying
Definitely a symbolic gesture.
that tells you
for
right
sure,
there what I
but-
just said about Megan Rapinoe.
Right.
She has zero loyalty to our
Right.
to our country.
These informal gestures demonstrate your character and respect for Army values. Uncovering, removing a beret, hat, or headgear is just good manners. It's a sign of respect to others. You should remove your headgear indoors unless you're under arms. Well, I'm always under arms, so.
Oh, that's
That's a
hilarious.
get out of free jail card there, right?
That's some funny.
That's
shit.
all the reason for me to carry now.
Take your hat off. Sorry, I can't. I'm under arms. Anyway, hats are off and we are ready to go.
Ready. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to go out and do some trucking today. We pray for the safety of our fleet, all of their families, and all the other families and individuals we come across on the road today. We pray for patience and the making of good, safe decisions. We pray to be accident-free and that we all make it back to the comforts of our homes this evening. We pray for healing and 100% recovery for all of our family members that are ill. No matter what, we trust you, God, and it's in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. As a reminder, anything you hear on today's podcast is not the opinion of JFW's. It's just our expressed opinion.
We may need to move that up. That maybe should be second after we say welcome.
Yeah, I kind of
Today, huh?
blew that. We had no disclaimer.
It should be the very first thing. Warning, disclaimer,
Welcome to the Channel 3
disclaimer.
podcast
Right?
day.
I do like your sound effects. I
Yeah.
haven't listened to one with the sound effects, Jam. Love the sound effects.
Nice. Do you like the shots fired?
Yeah, my tennis shoe comment. You guys got me. Somehow I'll get even.
Oh, I'm glad you like them. Episode 115 was a little light, 458 downloads. We are at 62.6 thousand total downloads, and we have 532 followers.
That's awesome. I heard that
is
last
awesome.
week that all that was up. And what a terrible week weather-wise. You know,
Right.
a lot of people off and cold, and I'm
Right.
sure there was just a lot of listens missed. You know, hopefully everybody goes back and makes them up.
Yeah.
Since we already told the disclaimer, did you guys hear about the dad? He didn't want to tell his son that he was stupid. But he did anyway because he was worried his son wouldn't figure it out on his own.
Wow.
That ties into the thing that we heard about years ago with that one driver.
Oh, yeah. The
Two
strong-
kinds of people in this world.
There's smart people and strong people. Son, you better get strong.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I did a couple travel jokes here, and I already told you guys the one because we said we were going to start backwards, but we'll see if you guys caught it or not. Did you know mountains aren't just funny? They are...
Hilarious.
Yes, you got it.
Hilarious.
And then do you know what kind of chocolate they have at the airport?
Soup?
Flying chocolate?
Got no clue.
Plain chocolate.
Ba-da-ba-ba.
And then
I never got that.
And then my last one here is, where is B's favorite vacation destination?
This should be so easy.
It is for other people.
Bezonia or something like that. Beside you.
You're really.
I mean, it has to be hilarious.
Trying to think of an island that has honey in the name. I can't think of it.
It's not. It's kind of like that. But anyway, I thought it was good.
Something to do with a hive.
No.
Dang it. Okay.
How about Singapore?
Singapore. There you go. There you go.
Oh, bee related. Well, I'm going to go next just because it's been such nice weather. It feels like spring. And believe it or not, Montana has sent out a grizzly bear notice.
Sweet.
Because they were so aggressive towards the end of last year preparing for winter. And they say in light of the rising frequency of human grizzly bear conflicts, the Montana Department of Game and Fish is advising hunters, hikers, ice fishermen, everyone to take extra precautions and keep alert for bears while in the field. They advise that outdoorsmen wear noisy little bells on their clothing so as not to startle the bears when they aren't expecting them. They also advise that outdoorsmen should carry pepper spray just in case of an encounter with a bear. It's also a good idea to watch out for fresh signs of bear activity. Outdoorsmen should recognize the difference between black bear and grizzly bear poop. Black bear poop is smaller, contains lots of berries and squirrel fur. Grizzly bear poop contains little bells and smells like pepper.
I like it.
That was good. I'm just sitting here listening to the story, and then all of a sudden you say that, and I'm like, dope.
You're thinking of one of the camping trips you take us every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I hate winter. I'm tired of winter. But you always want to look at the bright side of everything, right? One of the bright sides of winter is no bugs, no mosquitoes, no flies. I mean, it's really, really nice. But you do see a lot of spiders. And, when a spider isn't feeling well, where do they go? Where do they go for some health advice?
Health advice. Oh, it's got to be 8 something. 8.
Oh, it's so obvious, man.
Podiatrist.
So obvious.
They log into WebMD.
Man.
Wow.
Okay,
Clearly-
we're all sorry you don't have to listen to the podcast.
I got another
Clearly,
one.
the
This one's-
spider doesn't have nice.
No, definitely not. So, I do like to play chess. Did you guys ever know that about me? And recently, I just defeated our local chess champion in Lafayette in only 5 moves. Finally, my youth karate class came in handy.
That's funny.
That was
Not
a good
bad.
one, Dave. I liked both of them. I like the WebMD.
Yeah.
It is so obvious. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Armando Del sent me one also about bears, Brother Dave. What do you call a bear without teeth?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Gummy bear.
Gummy bear. There
Gummy
you go.
bear, yeah.
All right. Good time.
Oh, Bella would like that.
Yeah.
Jam, you got to go home
Yep.
and tell that.
I will see Bella on Friday. If I can remember to tell her, I will. Let's see. New employees, not applicable. Celebrations, anniversaries, not applicable.
Wow.
It's that time of the year. Birthdays, though, we got Gilbert Benny and Nat Bisignano. They both have birthdays today.
Ah, happy birthday, guys.
Recently,
happy
happy
birthday.
birthday today.
Yep. And then Omar Reyes, he has a birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday,
birthday,
Omar.
Omar.
Happy birthday, Omar.
Family birthday celebrations. We miss Melissa Reyes. That's Vince Meekin's significant other. Her birthday was last Friday.
Oh,
Happy birthday,
do we
Melissa.
not have it on the list?
It was on the list. It was my mistake.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Good.
I know.
I know a lot of those aren't given to us.
Yep. Nope.
Right?
Everything. That's the first place I went. Let me see if she's on the list. And Vince told me, well, you announced her last year. And right there, I was like, I doubt we would just take her off the list. So,
You're off the list.
yeah.
No birthdays for you.
No soup for you, right?
Yeah, no soup for you.
Gilly's son Chris turned 16 today. And then
God, he's pretty small for 16, isn't he?
and then
Sorry, Gilly. And Gilly.
Ryan Emmerling's son Blake turns 18 tomorrow. And then Jeff Soto's son Emiliano turns 8 on Friday. So happy birthday.
Wow.
Oh, great
Happy
birthdays.
birthday,
Happy
yeah.
birthday.
Yeah, that 18, that's a milestone, Ryan. Congratulations.
Yep.
Yeah, and the 16 for driving, Dave.
Yeah, true. Yeah, those aren't your little kids anymore.
Nope.
That 18, that's a real blast for men because they have to go register. No matter what their pronouns are, they still have to register for the military. So, yeah, they can have some pronouns, but they still got to register.
Is there anything you want to talk about, Brother Dave?
I'm good.
You want to let's
Sing it
start.
up.
Let's start with your guys' shout outs first, and then I'll go. Anybody got any shout outs?
I hopefully Joe or Mike re-listen or at some point listen to the podcast still. I thought they did a great job and just wanted to tell them thank you for being guests. Didn't get a chance, when they were here. And then we talk about him a lot. I don't know how much we give him a shout out, but I wanted to give a shout out to Mikey in the shop. We've been just throwing a lot at him lately. We've got the new trucks coming in. The Western Stars are different from the Kenworths, and then he's helping us put together the super tandems. And Brother Dave searched for the specs on the super tandems, trying to get us a deal on the truck so that we could bust into the market and be conservative with what we're trying to do, and yet still have awesome trucks. And the rear ends happen to need to be moved forward. It doesn't sound like very much, but 2 foot to be able to adjust the load correctly on the trucks when we get loaded in the other axles. And Mikey, he just he puts his hand on his forehead, and he goes to thinking, rubbing his forehead. But he's a champion when he comes to that stuff. And he's a guy that just doesn't come to me and Dave and ever go, what do you want? He sees our vision and he accomplishes it.
Right.
I mean, he's a guy that I think, I know I tell him thank you, but I think he's a guy that misses getting mentioned.
Right.
In the whole scheme of things. And all the mechanics, when you have that job, people only come to you when things are broken. Right. And it's not like you get, hey, my truck ran, 100,000 miles. You just don't go to it. Oh, my truck ran a mile and it broke. That's what you get. I guess it's kind of like a psychiatrist that you just listen to everybody's problems all day. Right. That's got to be kind of a rough job at the end of the day.
You know the difference between a psychiatrist and a mechanic, though. This isn't a joke, right? I mean, it sounds like a joke, but it's not. A psychiatrist just listens. That's all he's got to do.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't fix it. He doesn't make suggestions. He doesn't anything. The mechanic's got to fix the stuff.
Well, you'd hope a psychiatrist helps you fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have a little responsibility.
And how dare you assume it was a psychiatrist?
Wow.
Well, that's better than a blank. Yeah. So that was
M blank, F blank.
Yeah, Dave, calling him the.
By the way, speaking of Joe and Mike, we do have Ryan Byers coming on the 7th.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Ryan's a good guy also. He'll have a lot of information. Very well, I mean, his business is DOT, but that'll be a DOT.
Oh, yeah. We're going to learn something.
Yeah, conversation with.
Gosh, I hope he doesn't play the piano.
Can
you imagine getting a piano up here?
He cooks. He cooks. I know he cooks. He's passionate about smoking and different stuff like
Maybe
that.
he's listening and he'll bring us breakfast.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So that's all I got, you guys.
Okay. You guys got any shout outs? First one on there is yours. So.
I was going to say, the one that's on the list here, we got to give a big shout out to Andrick, Chili Dog, and Edward. The three of them flew out to Indiana and picked up these three. We're calling them the super dumps. They're just cabs and chassis. They don't have the beds on them yet, but they flew out to Indiana, and man, right out of the gate, there were issues. And what I mean by that is their flight was delayed like 3 times. They had a connecting flight in Chicago. And you guys, I don't know if any of you ran into this, but you know how like you search something on the internet and you type it in and like it comes up, Amazon has 3,000 of those. And you click on it and you're like, well, that isn't what I searched. And it's giving you a little different, like you're asking for a I don't know, a gas tank, and it shows you a diesel tank. But it said, you know what I mean? It told you we had it, and it takes you to it because you click on it, right? Well, you guys, somewhere along the way, I dropped the ball, and I was so concerned because there's no through flights to Fort Wayne, Indiana, right? And they needed to get from here to Fort Wayne, Indiana. So they had to make a connecting flight. The most popular connecting flight from here to Fort Wayne, Indiana is in Fort Worth, Texas. So they would have had to fly from here to Fort Worth, Texas, back to Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I'm just like, so they're flying 5 extra hours. It's a longer layover. I mean, all of this crap, right? And I see, they can fly from here to Chicago O'Hare and then Fort Worth. You guys, 100% on me. I picked it. It flew back to Indianapolis, which is 2 hours away from Fort Wayne. So these guys land at Chicago O'Hare. They only have like 45 minutes to make their connecting flight. And they text me and said, hey, does a 2-hour Uber ride sound right to get from the airport to our hotel? And I'm like, no, not even close. It's like 17 minutes. I checked it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, airport in Fort Wayne. Here's the hotel. Here's where the trucks are located. You know what I mean? I did my due diligence, right? Like I'm on it. Well, clearly not. Man. Because I booked them a flight from Chicago O'Hare to Indianapolis, which is 2 hours away instead of right in Fort Wayne, you guys. So totally set them up for failure, right? But here's the rock stars these guys are. They not only catch it, right? They're on it. They're like, we're going to, before they even call me, they've already went to the little
Uber Shack?
No, not the Uber Shack. The
airport assistance.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yes. Customer service is what I'm trying to spit out, right? They've found another flight from there to Fort Wayne. It's still available. It's like $170, and I'm like, you got no choice. Book it, take it. There's still time to get on it. They're like, yeah, it's good. Like 30 minutes goes by, you guys, and they call and they're bummed, and they're like, man, we can't. They won't allow us to buy the ticket because it's so close to the flight. They won't allow us. And I'm like, all right, thank you, 9/11, right? That's just my reply to that. So they're like, what should we do? And should we go fly to Indianapolis and then just take the Uber? And I'm like, yeah. At this point we're in Chicago, and we, one way or another, we got to get to Fort Wayne, right? So they're like, okay. So they run, and you guys, they just closed the door on the airplane to get to Indianapolis. So they couldn't get on the airplane, the flight to Indianapolis. So again, kudos to these guys. Without my urging or anything, they just immediately go to rental car. They find a rental car for $100. It was $109. And they hop in it, and they all take turns driving, and they haul ass to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Now, granted, it took them about 3.5 extra hours. So the hotel we paid for really only got used for about 90 minutes, I think. But they at least got to lay down and get some sleep. But I mean, that just on top of, a handful of little other things, nothing really major. I mean, they got the trucks picked up, got out of town. Weather back there is horrible, right? Snowstorm come through. They got several inches of snow, ice, rain, just not ideal conditions to be traveling in. They've already, conquered all of the rest of these issues that I set them up for failure on. And so what I'm worried about is they have to spend the night somewhere. Well, I look clear across the country, you guys, from Fort Wayne, Indiana to Denver. It doesn't warm up temperature-wise until like Fort Morgan. And I know where they're spending the night. All of Iowa was going to be below zero. All of Illinois was going to be below zero. So they wound up, the first night they made it to Shelby, Iowa. And, we kind of go over, here's the fuel additive you need. Park the trucks so we can access the batteries. You guys aren't familiar with it. Be sure when you go to start the truck, push the clutch all the way to the floorboard so the transmission isn't spinning in the cold oil. I just kind of go over, like, let's set it up for success so we're at least prepared if we have a failure. Where we got them a room was right across the street from the Love's truck stop, and in case they had problems, needed stuff. So anyway, they wake up, it's 12 below, right? And you're just like, man, just the odds of any truck starting in 12 below, you know what I mean? It's a 50-50 shot. Well, 2 of the 3 start. The third one wouldn't start, of course. And
Later, chili dog. We out.
right. So anyway, I'm like, all right, just cruise over to the truck stop, see if they have a jump box, and they'll come over and jump you. I kind of got the impression from Chili Dog, the service department over there at the Loves, was they were kind of jerks. And I mean, if you're around those 3, they just instantly put a smile on your face immediately, man. They're smiling, joking, laughing. They're in such crappy situation and they're still happy, right? So make a long story short, I says, all right, what do they got for jumper cables? And he's like, they have an 8 gauge and a 12 gauge. And I'm like, okay, get 2 8 gauge jump. He's like, no, they have an 8 gauge or a 12 gauge. And I'm like, get both. That's our option, right? So they get both jumper cables. They go over, I have them hook, 2 batteries to 2 batteries on the trucks. And they're both four battery trucks. And I leave it sit for 30 minutes and they call me and they were so happy, you guys. It was like they had won the Super Bowl and they were just elated. So they fired up the trucks and came home and they were just, I don't know. They were just rock stars. I went over, I didn't bug them Saturday night, but Sunday I wanted to know, hey, if you had any write-ups, I know it's going to be difficult to write anything up on the truck because I don't have truck numbers. Chili Dog sends me a screenshot of his write-up. On the write-up, he goes, I know these trucks don't have truck numbers. Here's the last 4 of the VIN. They had already done the write-up. You know what I mean? Thinkers. It made me feel so proud, Jim, and I know you were gone on vacation, but I wrote back to him that you and I would have been so proud because they just handled things. They're thinkers, and they're young in our industry, and they're educated. They make smart decisions, and it wasn't just on one thing. They're not helpless. It was so inspiring to see, kind of, I don't want to say youth in our industry because it makes them sound really young, and they're not.
Yeah,
but I mean, they're younger, right? Yeah,
they're Edward's pretty young.
Yeah, right, Jam. Yeah.
But on a personal note, those guys all got good hearts.
They do.
Not only are they beasts at work, not only do they get it done, but they're good people.
Yes. Yes,
like,
it's clear to see that, Jam. And I just, you guys just did a great job. I can't thank you enough. Everybody, those guys rocked it. You know what I mean? And I feel terrible because I'm like, how on earth did I do that? You know what I mean? I still look back at the ticket and I'm like, I know they needed to go to Fort Wayne. I typed in Fort Wayne.
Definitely out of character for you. I'm surprised you didn't smell it. Smelling the wrong city here.
And then I told Jim, I was like, God, I wonder if subconsciously, because, for me to see Sam, I have to go to Indy. And I'm like, did I see it? And I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. Yet I searched Fort Wayne for the hotel. I searched Fort Wayne for the Uber.
Right.
Checked out how far from the hotel to the airport on an Uber, how close they were in Fort Wayne from the hotel to the you know what I mean? Like, everything was Fort Wayne for me. And I all I can think of is I was so concerned because when I found that connecting flight out of O'Hare, I'm like, boom, that's the one we need. O'Hare to Fort Wayne. And all I can think of is I just never looked that it went to Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
I was like, man, it'll be a 45-minute layover.
Oh.
Bam, bam. They're there. It's like it would have been a total of like a 5-hour day.
Wouldn't have been as fun though.
Yeah, and their 5-hour day, man. I think they put in like 15.
I'll delete that.
So good job, guys. Thanks. You earned the next one for sure.
I was going to tell you. It reminded me as I was looking through for some travel jokes. There was one that came up. Says, guy goes to the travel agency or the airlines and says, hey, I want to get away. I either want to go to Denver or I want to go to Utah. And they're like, oh, okay, let me look up some flights. And they looked up and they said, well, Denver looks pretty expensive. It's $300. And they're like, okay, what is it to Utah? Oh, we got some good rates. They're $99, but there's a layover. And the guy goes, where's the layover? Denver.
Dang it.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, some of those flights, Jim, when I was initially looking, it sounds crazy, but since there was nothing that was a through flight, there was actually, I stumbled across some round trip flights that they would have had to have gone somewhere else, but a round trip flight was cheaper than a one-way.
Yeah.
I'm like, how on earth, how does that work? So anyway, yeah. The good news is they were rock stars and the trucks are here.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. My alarm's going off at my house.
That's all right. Go ahead and take your phone call. No.
Let us know when you're ready to get back to the show.
I'm ready. You got any other shout outs, guys?
I'm just what's on the list here. I know you guys read it.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right. Shout out to Sergio Portillo and Chris Beam for working with and giving valuable feedback to Toro. They had somebody from Toro come here yesterday. Those guys took time out of their days to come up here and cooperate and just help them develop the software program. So appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we told you about the shout out and stuff, Jim. And when I was upstairs, when you're doing that stuff and you've done enough Zoom meetings or different things like that, whatever it might be, sometimes there's just no conversation, and I was afraid those guys wouldn't get involved, because they're just, probably not used to doing it really. And they did, like Dave's, used the word rock star. Sergio was involved. He had his pieces he wanted better. Yes. Chris had his pieces. He explained it. They were very articulate. And
I was going to say, I think Chris Beam is used to giving feedback.
He is, but it was what would be the word? It would be critical feedback.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And in Toro, that's one thing that I've noticed and everybody's noticed. They're on it. I mean, like Chris said when he left, some of the changes he asked, they changed right then and there. And was able to do for him. And the dispatch part of Toro and what they're helping with is amazing. I just hope their back end, their accounting system can come along with their program, in the future would be fantastic.
Jim, it sounds like they gave him some very rich, robust, critical information.
Right? Wait,
was the insurance here?
I felt that when I was in the room, the richness.
Holly White wants to give a shout out. She says on her way in the other morning on I-25, she was driving alongside 0020 and 0073, who were in the middle lane doing a great job with distance and speed and just Cadillacing along, making us look good to the public. From Holly White. That's awesome.
It is awesome.
It is awesome.
Again, you just never know who's out there
You
watching.
just never know.
Is that Mike Bortz and Toof?
It would be Gerardo and Gabe.
Oh, God, I wasn't even close.
You were 5 truck changes.
Right? Yeah. My God. Well,
Jufu was
Gerardo's
close. He drives 72.
Yeah, Gerardo's been in 20 for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a rock star. I saw
He
him the
is.
other day.
He's another guy with good heart.
Right? Yeah.
Todd Dole, he wants to give a shout out to 0049 Omar and 00101 Jimmy for helping him out at Arcosa to shovel about 3 tons of shale that was frozen in the nose of his trailer.
Oof.
They both jumped into action to help without being asked. I was very appreciative and love the JFW culture. Isn't that great? You're out somewhere doing something and working hard, and here comes 2 guys with 2 more shovels.
Right?
Like, that's awesome.
That is it. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Right?
Anthony Harper, he wants to give a shout out to Andrew. I think he was in 0088. That would be Andrew Nonis, for helping me bust rock out of the nose of the trailer here at 12. And to Tony for loaning me his baby sledge since the one in 0096 was missing. So good teamwork there.
Just good culture, right?
Absolutely.
Nothing like that.
And then I got a text from Veronica this morning. She called me Jim, but that's okay. She wants to give a shout out to Greg Wise. He had his truck running cores on Sunday. Not only did he keep it clean, but he went above and beyond and washed it as well. Yeah.
Very cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Greg does do that. I've seen him do it before. He'll take the time to put it back better than it was.
Nice. That's incredible.
Sure is.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it fits in the discussion here, and maybe it's in the shout outs, but we just interviewed for another person to help in the office here in the upstairs, and it sure seems like she'll be a great addition to the team. But part of going through the interview, when she got up and left, she pushed her chair in before she left the interview.
Put her cart back, did she?
She put her cart back. And it's just like, I guess that's you look for those signs, don't you? And Dave, when you talked about those guys filling out the, pre-trip or post-trip and doing the other stuff, and it's not what we want or I want. It's what needs to be done, and that's when the guys and gals, we have so many people here, like you keep saying, Jam, with great hearts, but they recognize what needs to be done. And that's the heart of it. You're in it. You're feeling every bit of it. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, you know that talking about Greg putting Veronica's truck back cleaner than he found it, I kind of thought, how sometimes that's hard. You know what I mean? It's like you got to take extra effort. And it's kind of funny because I've been driving Dad's car for a week and a half because I had to take him to a doctor's appointment. He's hurt and couldn't drive, so I've just been driving it back and forth because then I had to take him to another appointment, And it's during that cold snap, and it's been leaving it outside. And there's all sorts of, dirt icicles hanging on it, just the grunge, right, of the vehicle. And then, of course, he's got beige floor mats.
Yeah. I feel your pain because I had to jump in it with you the other day, and I opened up the door, and I was like, what am I supposed to do?
What do I do with my feet?
Where do my feet go, right? Yeah.
But then I seen your side was completely so your side was completely trashed. No, I'm just kidding, Senior. I am just joking.
You're honest. It was trash, Jam, and I guess that's my point. You know what I mean? I ran and washed it, and I wiped it all down, and I even got back here, and I wiped it down some more, and then I got out, and I looked at the floor mat, and I'm like, oh, boy.
We got to do something about that.
I can't leave that. You know what I mean? You're just I didn't find it like that. I can't give it back to him like that. You know what I mean? And I guess, that's just where it comes from. I don't know. I'm not sure. So, of course, I dragged the floor mats into the wash bay, and I got out the soap, and I scrubbed them and washed them off, and then I scrubbed them some more, and then I washed them off some more.
Nice.
It was about a 3 scrub cleanup, and then I laid the towel down, and I got in it, and I drove up there, and there it was. It's all perfect.
Just like he left
it's
it.
It's nicer.
There you go.
It's nicer than I got it. And you know what, Jam? Even topped it off with gas, buddy.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
He's got clean windows, clean car, clean floor mats, and full of gas. Sorry, Dad, I didn't rotate the tires or change the oil.
Did you put a new air freshener in it?
Day 1.
That's funny. Well, speaking of...
And day 3 and day 7.
Which leads me into my next topic, or our next topic, I should say, truck cleanliness.
What a segue.
What a segue.
Boom.
Yeah, so the other day, Varela, his truck was down, or no, they didn't have any tandem work, so he needed to jump into an end-up. Well, he jumped in, and he sent JR and myself some pictures. I don't know what was going on in there, but there was about...
I don't know what was going on.
It looked like my kitchen trash after about 3 days worth of trash.
Right? It looked like 50 people cleaned up a parking lot after a party.
Right, at Wendy's or McDonald's or something. Yeah, it was all... it was disgusting. And it was just like, how do you just... driving down the road, I'll throw a wrapper, I'll throw an empty water bottle or a pop bottle on my floorboard, and then I throw it away, And if I didn't throw it away that day, it's getting thrown out pretty soon after that.
Yeah.
But not bottle after bottle after bottle after bottle after bottle. It was terrible, and disrespectful, Don't care about the job. Don't care about what if somebody else had to drive your truck. I sent the driver some pictures, and I'd be like, is there a reason that your truck looks like this? Oh, yeah, I just forgot to dump my trash the other day. It's like, that ain't one day's worth of trash.
Right?
At
both yards, I can literally say your door is inches
from the trash can.
Yeah. And I don't mean 1 or 2 inches. I'm talking like 30. Right?
So
50 inches.
To me, that's just a serious will problem. You don't have the will to keep your equipment in good shape. And honestly, I did explain to that driver, and he's not here anymore. And hindsight, I'm wondering if it correlates. But I was like, listen, we're not going to accept that.
Right.
And if this is what you're going to do, JFW is not the place for you.
Yeah.
So
I think it's tied together, and it was the best thing for all of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, Jam, when you get stopped at a safety inspection or go through the port and they want to look in your truck. When they look in that truck and if they would have saw that, they'd have been like, I got one.
Yep,
I got
one
here. This guy's, if he can't throw his own trash away.
Right.
Because that didn't happen today. That didn't happen yesterday. He's been accumulating that trash all week.
Maybe.
That seemed like a lot of trash to me.
Who knows?
I guess.
Who knows? But, Matt, to me, what does your house look like?
Oh.
To me, I would be embarrassed to open up my door and for somebody to see that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. So, anyway. Keep the trucks clean, everybody. That's the JFW standard, and we shouldn't have that. So,
Yep. Moving on.
moving on. Fry Pit 6 is now Martin Marietta Wallstrom, and the tickets reflect that. So we do need to start using those terms, because if somebody starts today, they don't know what Fry Pit 6 is anymore.
Yep.
You know, everything says Martin Marietta on it.
Yeah,
so.
we may as well just start calling it that. Dispatch made the switch last week. We talked to him about it, and yeah, Martin Marietta Wallstrom Quarry.
Yeah, I got that email, and I'm sorry, guys, I can't. I just won't.
Go to Fry's.
It just
won't.
I just won't. It's Fry's Quarry,
Right.
I mean,
Jim?
yeah. It's and yes, we have to do it. But I told Dave we got that deal that Al, signed it, sent us an email, or everybody an email, formal president of Fry's, whatever companies,
Yeah.
and I don't know. For me, it was heartbreaking, because the guy, that family, that institution, and that's been 40 years of my life, and
They created an institution, Jim. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah,
they created an institution.
They did. Yeah, they grew with like JFW and the family and stuff. And I worked with 3 generations of the Fries. But I texted Dave back and I said, that's a hard one for me, because that is the first load I ever hauled was out of one of their pits. The first time I was ever stuck in a pit was in their pit. The first time I ever popped my tailgate on accident was on their scale.
Wow, you were that guy.
I was that guy.
Wow.
Just so many firsts, but that's where we hauled out of all the time. That was, and first time overloaded, and first time having a frozen tailgate valve, and it was just
That's almost like an oxymoron. First time overloaded at a fry pit. I didn't know that was possible.
Right.
Must have been going through the port.
we set the record, and won't tell you what that is. But
That's funny.
Super Dave knows, because I think he beat my last record one time.
I'm just glad we had a chance to have him on the podcast.
Oh,
before
yeah.
he-
Yeah.
I don't want to say retired, because he's still up there, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just nice to have him on and
Great.
learn him and learn his heart. And
Yeah, so well spoken, so passionate, so just a great human being.
And things are already changing up there, you guys. I was talking with Jack Oquindo last night. He goes, oh, man. He goes, we have to get tear weights all the time now. And he goes, the line was out the driveway and down the street, just because everybody needed a tear weight. And Fry used to understand that. I remember going in there just saying, hey, I have a different trailer. I need a new tear weight. And they would say, hey, we're really busy. What's your tear weight? And I just tell them, and then they'd say, okay, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So Martin Marietta is not going to be the friendly family company that Fry was.
No, it's
Corporate.
I think Martin Marietta is a good company. I think the way they run spec ag and the way they do different things, but we've lost a partnership. We lost somebody with an understanding of the business, and they'll have to
An institution closed.
Yeah, and they'll have to do things different that the family didn't, because just like you said, it's a business. Part of my closing talks, again, I got so many notes, but we took a little scuba boat out to do we did snorkeling. I didn't do scuba, but it was a family-owned boat. A man and a wife, owned the boat. And when her boat came up, it's going past Jeff Bezos of Amazon's, 417-foot sailing ship, and all she can see is her boat. And when her boat pulled up, she goes, "Isn't my boat beautiful?" And the passion, and
Yes.
that's we'll talk a little more about it. But I'm like, yeah, that's your boat. You're right. You should be proud of that boat. And it was well taken care of. You could tell it was clean. It was it was there to help us have a good time and good stuff. But that it's different, like you're saying, Dave. That if I'm making the word, if Amazon owned her boat, it wouldn't be ran the same.
Right.
It wouldn't be that personal touch. And yeah, Dave, we've lost an institution of understanding our business.
Right.
And we all know from having Al on too, the one scale you don't need to tear because it figures your tear. and then load you.
When you're loading under the two bins,
Yeah.
the east and west bins.
Yeah.
Because it has a way hopper inside.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, those are the C bins that have the way hoppers. But when things were busy, they set up that extra kiosk on the outside of the west bin, and they would print your ticket just by the weight in the way hopper.
yeah.
And they would, they just, boom, you're in and out.
It's the Mecca. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Well, when we were talking about the sale, I think it was maybe Monday, Dave, I jumped on to a couple of web pages, industry web pages, like, I don't know, Pit and Plant or something. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like Pit and Quarry, stuff
Yes,
like that.
Pit and Quarry, yeah. Anyway,
Rock and Stone,
in
there's several.
2017, they did an interview with Al Fry, and he said, listen, we figured out a long time ago our distance to travel was twice as far as any other crushed rock quarry, so we had to be better. We had to get that guy in and out in 5 minutes to make it worth his time to drive the extra distance. And he said, the way that their crushers are set up and their wash plant is set up, which you two know, Jim and Dave, the wash plant's new. They never had water up there in the old days. We only could get dry rock.
So dry product.
But he was very proud of the fact in this interview that rock never touches the ground from when it goes into the crusher, the whatever they call it, the number one crusher, let's say, and that's not the right name, but either way, to when it goes through the wash plant, to when it goes through the secondary plant to, screen it again or whatever, and then when it goes into your truck, it never touches the ground.
Right.
How cool is that?
Right. Absolutely, Dave. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think Martin Marietta, they're probably got a really big learning curve because I'm sure, like you said, Dave, if the trucks were all backed up, the county will be up there. The state patrol will be up there. They'll have other people bug them and go, oh, we got to move trucks. We can't run it like we've been running other places.
Right. Yep.
But that's a learning curve for everybody.
Yep. Spot on there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next on the list, we wanted to talk about the white turn signals. They're supposed to be amber. And what did we discover? That the amber was burning off?
The amber is burning off of the bulbs.
Yeah, so if you notice on your pre-trip that your bulbs have gone to white, could be time to change them
On
out.
the front of the tractor,
Yep.
and the turn signal that's directly next to your headlight.
Yep. So if you have one white one and one yellow one, what would you do?
Let's see here. Change the white one.
Yep.
Sweet.
Good answer. Good answer. I think it's on the board. Survey says.
Ding, 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 ding.
Hey, I got a quick question. Dave, did you talk to Rick about that by chance?
About the bulbs?
Uh-huh.
No.
No? Does he even know that happens with that design of headlight?
Dave, those are our bulbs to the best of my knowledge.
Well, I'm sure they're over the counter, but wouldn't you think it happens to just about anybody that drives or operates that model truck?
I don't think it's the model truck. I think it's the bulbs.
So we need to buy different kinds of bulbs.
Yeah.
I think Mike's checked into it
Yeah,
already.
yeah,
I mean,
'cause
they're
when
Sylvania bulbs.
Exactly.
Like you
When
get
I
them-
said something, but he asked about being Napa. Where were we getting them?
Yeah.
Because like you said, Dave, if it's Napa, it's a Sylvania.
Right.
Do we need to get them from like MHC or whatever that makes them
GE.
GE? Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm
more
just
the
thinking we probably buy a brand name product like Sylvania, and I would bet 90% of the people that order bulbs for trucks do.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if Rick was aware of it, or guess not.
That's a great question, Dave. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it is a
I-
problem that we've
Yeah.
missed. It's just like the airbags, the transmissions, the tire sensors.
cams.
That's the latest thing, right?
Yeah.
They're still working on the tire sensors, the TPMS system.
Crazy stuff.
It is.
Dispatch wanted to bring up, we default to the start times in Paycom. That announcement comes via email. So what I mean by this is on your Toro, there's usually two different start times, either a 5 a.m. or a 6 a.m. That is just to fulfill the requirements of the program. They need a start time in there. Those are the two times that they put in there. They just default to that. Your start time is what comes out in Paycom via a Paycom announcement on your email. Does that make sense?
It does.
Everybody get that?
It's kind of a bummer, but it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a bummer our start time can't be,
What it is?
well, yeah, what it should be, right? Why should we have one person that has a possibility of two different start times? It's kind of a bummer.
It is.
You know, I wish we could be better at that.
Let me look into it.
Okay.
Yeah, we ask dispatch in their description of Toro, because Toro is offering you both, because I don't think it's a Toro thing, it's just how we're trying to do the loads.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a shortcut for dispatch to put it in a broad hours from
Right.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. as such.
Right. Yeah.
But
So I get my dispatch for Toro, and then an email comes out that,
they don't start till 7.
yeah, and I
Right.
would be like, well, which one? What does this apply to me? Is the email does the email trump the Toro? You know what I mean? Like,
The email does trump the Toro.
I get it. I'm just saying, right?
Well, what
Like,
I've gotten questions from guys is that they get one time in Toro, and then they get another time in XPE, and then they get a third time on their
I bet, Dave,
Paycom, and they'll call me up and say, "What time am I supposed to be there?"
I bet that's
What time do you want to come in?
what time works for you. These are
So
simply
moving
suggestions.
forward, Paycom time is your time.
Yeah, Paycom should trump everything.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the bottom line.
Yeah,
So,
wish we could be better.
and we probably can be. So,
Yeah, I need to work on it.
Yeah.
There's still stuff. Yeah.
what do they call that when you're? Never mind.
A work in progress.
Thank you.
You bet.
Yep. I couldn't even come up with the word work. So, I'll just stop.
That's
right
like
there.
earlier when I was talking to you guys, I couldn't come up with the word drone. I mean, I was like, what's that flying thing?
You know, the flying thingy.
Yeah. Like, what the hell?
Progress in motion.
So funny.
See
All right.
that? Butterfly.
So, as everyone's aware, we started the 5% safety bonus. So you will get 5% of your gross pay quarterly for being a good, safe driver. With the 5%, though, with the 3% increase, that's going to bring a little bit more scrutinization. You got to be doing the job right. We're giving these bonuses to people that do it the right way day in and day out. So if you're running heavy or you're doing something silly, that is a disqualifying item. You will be disqualified from your 5% safety bonus.
Yeah, I think
it's everything that's in the safety bonus criteria.
I was going to say that, Dave.
We haven't changed anything.
Yeah, I think
right?
you should review that.
Yeah.
And we've let some of the stuff slide.
Right.
And we're going to become more strict with that, but it sounds, I don't know. I try to describe this, Jam, and you did a good job just now on it, because we've made it that it's harder to get, right? But if you're doing it correctly, it's a bigger bonus for the people that are doing it correct.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
That's the thing. If you're a rock star, you got good heart, you're in it to win it. It's a benefit for you, and that's what you're to just put it plain. If you're not doing your job and you're not being safe and you're not loading the right loads, you're not thinking about it, you just lost 5%. That's the reason we did it.
Yep.
We want to celebrate the people that are doing a great job, and we're not penalizing you. You've penalized yourself.
But what if I'm almost doing a great job?
You heard the word, right? Almost.
Right.
You
But
know,
I was only 500 pounds over going down the interstate.
you're right, Jam. Everybody gets a trophy, my friend. I
Sweet.
forgot we do that.
Nice. I'm going to put my helmet away then.
I could go a lot of places with this.
I'm sure you will. Yeah, so basically level up. You want that
Yeah.
5% safety bonus? Level up. That's for the people that are doing it the right way.
Absolutely.
And if you didn't earn it, and we tell you didn't earn it, don't be surprised. That's the other thing we're telling you.
Yep.
The goal is to reduce,
Accidents?
expenses that
Damage?
aren't necessary, and then return that back to the team that's doing a better job.
Well put, Dave. It is put there just like it. I'm going to say it's penalizing it, but you've penalized yourself. But we need to reduce the bullshit. Well, all there is to it.
And we're paying you to.
Yeah.
You're paying yourself to.
Yeah.
You're earning.
I mean,
that.
it's black and white.
And there's always room for improvement. Everybody gets an attaboy when they deserve it, but does that mean that there isn't still room for improvement? Of course there is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Speaking of improving and being perfect, pre-trips include checking registration and insurance for tractors and trailers. Your books should be kept in the pocket of the door. That would be the driver's door. The reason we want that is because if all the books are in the same place on all the trucks everywhere, everyone knows exactly where to look, right? If you have a driver get in your truck and you have some, top secret space you like to keep your registration book, and he goes to a port and can't find it, well, that's just kind of screwing him up. Now, that's something you should look out before you leave the yard in the morning as part of your pre-trip. Make sure you know where the book's at, but it is helpful to have a universal place to keep that.
So that's not on our pre-trip inspections, is it, to check your paperwork?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Is it?
Yeah, it's got a checkbox you can fill out.
I just assumed it wasn't on there.
I put a little note by it. Grind my gears.
Grind my gears.
Because this grinds my gears.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh, Dave, what you came up and had to redo that book because they just can't find the book, and you found that the book was missing, but you drive that truck every day.
Right.
Oh my! I mean, just
He couldn't remember the last time he saw it. He thought it was last week.
but you're supposed to do that every day.
So-
and we're running salt and squeegee. We possibly could be run through the port.
Yeah.
We're slow, so we might send you on a mission.
So here's the thing, too. I don't mind if it's in the glove box because honestly, the permit books stay in better condition. They're cleaner.
Yeah.
They're in the glove box. But don't put it in your storage container in between the seats. Please don't put it in the pocket on the back of the driver's seat. Did y'all know that there's a pocket on the back of that seat?
Yeah, you know
Jen and
why?
I found that out the hard way.
Yeah.
Had a really bad accident one time.
Oh.
Really bad
Wow.
accident.
Was it the
And couldn't find the book.
COVID psychosis?
COVID psychosis where the woman ran out and played Frogger in front of the truck and we hit her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had Highway 85 closed down. I mean, you were there. We were together, Jam, and we were freaking out. Like the police wanted our registration and information. And it's like, oh yeah, we got it. It's like, we can't find it. And finally asked the driver, well, where's that? It's behind the seat. Like, what? Neither of us even knew there was a pocket behind it. Why would you put it there?
Let's see. Let me put it where nobody can find it.
Yeah, I mean, if I were going to hide $20 in
That'd be a good
that
spot.
cab, I would find it behind the seat, right? I mean, I'm like, there's a pocket on the back of the
every
seat.
driver
That was my
just stopped
question.
and looking for $20.
I was just like, what?
Yeah.
What?
And another thing, please, everybody check your trailer insurance and registration. It belongs in the tube on the side of the trailer, not in your cab permit book.
Oh no, Dave, I like to keep it in my cab permit book.
Well, a lot of people do because that saves them time when they have to go into the port. But then it screws it up when that trailer change hands because sometimes people will drop trailers and rehook to them.
Yep.
I
You
got a
just
call
effed the next
the
driver.
other day from a driver at a port out of state and had no insurance or registration
a
for the
veteran
trailer.
driver
Yeah.
that took somebody's trailer
So
and didn't check it
please
out.
be consider. I mean, in my mind, that's considerate. Does it take you a few extra steps to go back and grab that information? It does, but again, put it back where it belongs, and that's in that tube, which is going to take another extra few steps.
So,
I mean, it's like putting the
Always
card back.
Yeah, it is.
It's just
exactly,
the right thing to
It's
do.
exactly like putting.
yeah,
the
if
card
you don't have the energy to walk back to the tube and get your registration and put it back in there,
And-
there's a problem.
And two, keep your eye on those tubes because those little rubber cups, the caps, they do get hard, they do crack, they do fall off, and the paperwork does fly out of there. So
Sometimes.
check that out. Make sure those caps, even if they're there, but if they're dry rotted, you need a new tube.
Yeah, because you on the other stuff when you had to replace the book and fill that in, and I'm sure the driver was qualified to haul heavy. You had to get the heavyweight permit, and we had to make another copy. But he's hauling all over town with no permit. And you just I guess that's the grinding the gear part. Is that's not your job. That's not doing your job is what I mean. It's yeah. It's just, it's a bummer. It's the sad part of what we do when we have to talk about.
Especially when you're reminded of it twice a day.
Well,
That's the upsetting part, Jim. When
Yeah.
you're talking about grinding your gears,
Yeah.
you checked it off in the morning and you checked it off at night.
I love it.
And that's just a pencil whip. It's kind of like keeping the cab clean. If you're not doing that stuff, you're not doing anything.
Yep.
It's pretty sad.
Well, isn't it Rick Bowen that says the devil is in the details?
Oh, absolutely.
And it is. I mean, you might check your tires, you might check your brakes, but it's the little details that make that job complete.
Like Indianapolis or Fort Wayne.
That was the detail.
There was some deviling going on in there.
That devil dogged me, man.
Thought we were going to let that go.
Never.
Hey, from Kendrick and Casey, they spent some time working on the scale over at Yard 23 this week. When you get up to that scale, you want to stop before driving onto that scale. And really all scales. Any scale, anywhere, before you pull on, it's always a good idea to stop and then idle on the scale. There are.
In what gear?
I like to use low, first, or granny gear. However you want to call it. The lowest gear you can.
Beautiful. The lowest gear you can. Correct, Jam.
Yep. No reason.
Third gear loaded, stopping in front of the scale, you didn't really help yourself.
Right.
Third gear loaded, didn't really help yourself. Or even empty.
Shouldn't you already be in first gear because you had the paddle shifted down when you leave the pile? Because you should start out in first gear.
Some scales are far away from,
Yeah.
depending on the pile, but yeah.
I'm usually up to 7th or 8th by the time I get to the scale.
Right, but if you stop, it should default down to first gear because you just did that a minute
You did
ago.
that when you left loaded.
Yeah.
Dave, that was a joke.
Yeah.
Not funny. How dare you?
It was hilarious.
But you definitely don't want to pull on going 5 miles an hour. Number one, if you hit something, you're going to create a lot of damage where it would be minimal, right? And number two, it's not good for the scale parts to get on there that quick, slam on your brakes to stop.
Right.
There's a lot of sensitive parts in there, right? Those things got to be calibrated. They got to be certified.
Yeah.
So,
We have cones on the side of the scale over there at 23, so you don't pull on the scale sideways. And the reason why is it's not designed to wiggle side to side. It's designed to wiggle front to back. It's not those. It can't pivot two directions. It's not a human being.
Gotcha.
It can only pivot one direction. That's forward and backward. So.
Huh.
Yeah, and I know the note was just thrown in here, and great note from Kendrick and Casey. But stop before you're getting on the scale. We talk about that all the time. That's a safety thing. The it's old, and I don't know how many people really know, but the thing is most pits when they reopen, they take their scales from the pit that closed and moved them.
Yeah.
Not all the scales are like brand new.
Right.
So a lot of the scales around, if you're going to call them anything, are old. But the thing about them is they don't really wear out.
Right.
They're not that kind of system. But the thing is, too, is when you're pulling on somebody else's scale, that's not your property. Mm-hmm. Take care of it. That's the other point. And I laugh to myself, and I'm thinking, how many people do you think here at some point have weighed themselves on a bathroom scale? Weighed themselves.
I mean, I've weighed myself at the Yard 23 scale. I always get on and watch the numbers.
Right? But at home, do you have a bathroom scale, Jim?
Of course.
Do you back up and take a run and jump on it? Is that how you start the weighing process of yourself?
No.
Or do you stop in front of the bathroom scale and then step on?
I usually curse a little bit, step on gingerly.
Hoping for a few pounds less, right?
I jump.
Do you jump?
That's my excuse.
Oh, scale's broken.
Yep.
Never mind.
The best way to
Must
weigh
have stayed
yourself
up a
on the
little
bathroom
higher.
scale is with 1 foot on the ground.
Just leave your front tire
Yeah.
off the scale.
Just put your right foot on it,
Yeah.
and you get a great weight.
Just barely pull the trailer on.
Have you ever?
I used to do that to Sam all the time. He'd go get on the scale, and I'd stand behind him and put a little toe on it.
I've done that to my wife.
Yeah.
She doesn't like that. Too funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kendrick and Casey, one of those guys referred to the scale as antique.
Antique.
Yep.
Oh, it's from the 80s.
Well,
It's weighed a few trucks, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
a couple tons have gone across there.
Right? Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Actually, I do believe it's a used scale that was installed in the 80s. I
Yeah.
should correct myself. So,
But again, those they really shouldn't wear out. They're not that,
Yeah.
that piece. It's a
Yeah.
giant chunk of iron.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
Last item on the discussion list, NICE Healthcare.
Sweet.
Once you have downloaded the NICE app and registered, you must make an initial 45-minute virtual appointment with them before they can be seen for anything. Please let them know they could come into the office and see myself or Amber. This was written by Joanne, by the way, if they need help with anything. So if you want to use NICE Healthcare, like we want you to use NICE Healthcare, perhaps make a 45-minute appointment to do your intake.
Great info.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Didn't know that. So
that seems like a really long time. What could take 45 minutes?
I think it would depend on your health.
Right.
What's your medication? What's your health?
Wow. The average doctor's appointment's like 30 minutes. That's all they allow you in the room.
And I was going to say, do you feel like you get a lot of care? I guess I'm thrilled that it might be 45 minutes, Dave, because they're going to talk to you about shit instead of, next patient.
Are they giving you a colonoscopy? Or?
Well, they'd have to give you some fentanyl to do that.
That's going to hurt if it's virtual.
That only takes about 15.
You guys got any other discussion items? If not, I got a question for the audience from Eric Burnham. Let's see. He says, "Good morning, Jam, and God bless." Oh, thank you for that. I have a question for the podcast. If it's not too late, I seek experience on this matter and insight. My trailer was worked on, and now I have to backload the trailer. I have backloaded on several occasions out of Coors. Up in Martin Marietta, the rock moves a lot quicker. Is there any techniques that could be passed along to get the load more even? I have thought about starting and backing immediately, move to the front, then backfill the middle. Just wondering, any insight on this matter? Thank you and have a great day.
After his trailer was worked on, Jim?
Yeah, I don't understand that part.
I think there's more to the story, but I know we've had problems with a couple valves for the lift axles. So I'm thinking the lift axle is still bad or may need to be replaced. I know Mike has done some more research.
Oh, I got it. So
we've been battling the lift axles for a year and a half now.
Right.
Well, there's a lot that still don't even work.
Yeah, and Brian's working on them, right?
Right, exactly.
Brian.
Yeah.
But you have to hit the load. The load, it needs to be loaded in the back. You get a better result. Wasn't that the thing?
If you start in the front, it's my understanding that as the weight transfers slowly to the back, it doesn't actuate the valve. And it puts the valve stuck in between, and it just dumps air. And it won't lift the axle, and then it's stuck, and then it's a whole rigmarole. So I would believe that's still broken, that it still needs written up, and it still needs looked at, and it still needs repaired.
Got it.
Because you can't go to Martin Marietta's Wallstrom Quarry and start loading from the back. It's impossible. You can do it at Aggregate Industries Morrison Quarry. I don't suggest it.
Yeah.
Coors, I kind of recommend it. That's
Right.
my 2 cents, is start at the back because you can push more grain to the nose because the grain has something to push up against if you start loading against the gate.
Yep. Make sure you're cammed over.
Make sure your gate's cammed over, absolutely. And start at the back and work your way forward on that. I think that seems to be where we've had the most problems. So, yeah. I think don't think we can answer that because there's more to the story.
Got it.
Or the question, I should say.
Tips and tricks from Ray Davis, and I really love this one. This is like his own personal high road hauling.
Nice.
Tips
That
and,
affects everyone.
It does. Tips and tricks for everyone in life. And he opens up with, this one is a little personal. The importance of physical wellness. Preventing accidents. Number one, preventing accidents. Physical wellness is crucial for truck drivers as it directly impacts their ability to operate the vehicle safely. Fatigue, poor vision, and other physical ailments can lead to accidents, endangering not only the driver, but also other road users. Number two, enhancing productivity. Physical wellness also affects a driver's productivity. A healthy driver is less likely to take sick days and can perform their duties more efficiently. Number three, reducing healthcare costs. Regular exercise and a balanced diet can help prevent chronic diseases such as obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, ultimately reducing healthcare costs for the driver and their employer. The importance of mental wellness. Number 1, reducing stress. Truck driving can be a stressful job with tight deadlines, traffic congestion, and long periods of isolation. Chronic stress can lead to mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. Number 2, improving decision making. Good mental health is essential for making quick and accurate decisions on the road, which is crucial for the safety of the driver and other road users. Number 3, enhancing quality of life. Mental wellness also affects a truck driver's overall quality of life. A healthy mind contributes to better relationships with family and friends, higher self-esteem, and a more positive outlook on life. If any drivers or even driver support are struggling with things in life or just need someone to talk to, please feel free to reach out to me or our driver support. I'm always available to help or to just give somebody some advice. Not many know, but I've been struggling with my health, and because of it, it put me in kind of a dark place because I felt like it's weakness, and I don't want anyone to see it and that it's wrong. I want to thank the ones who have always believed and have been there for me. This is so true. We are the JFW family, and we can overcome all that comes before us. And any listener or follower can use these powerful words in their life as well. It's kind of like a whole, what would Jesus do? If you're doing it the JFW way, you're doing it the right way. Then he goes on to trainer tips. Thanks for that, Ray.
Good job, Ray. That was awesome.
Yep.
Trainer tips. Cleaning out your trailers in the correct place. It's come to my attention that we have people sweeping out the trailers on the streets. We should never sweep a trailer out on the street. You can sweep out at any plant that we go to, Plant 2, Castle Rock Ready Mix, all of them, there is no exception, and it should be done at the plant, or you can wash out if you know there is a washout there. Hope all is well with the JFW family, friends, and listeners. Remember, safety has no blind spot. Sit up in your stool, look and lean, don't be a fool. Much love and respect, Ray Ray, 0013.
Awesome. Good stuff, Ray.
Great job, Ray.
Yeah.
Fabio actually mentioned something about sweeping out or using your tarp on the street. Let's see. Some drivers are opening their tarps on the street. JR said one day he was driving not to open tarps, for example, on Plant 2, 1213 Burco Union. If you could let all the drivers know, we can avoid headaches and problems for JFW. So,
yeah, if anybody doesn't know, and we kind of ran an experiment, it is better, and I don't know if it really makes a large fuel difference, but with the tarp out, no matter what, the wind doesn't catch as much on the tailgate. Mm-hmm. And, we've through the years, we probably suggested several times to just always run with your tarp out. Then whether you're empty or loaded, the general public sees that your tarp, and you don't ever get, well, that truck wasn't tarped, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I know in the last few years, we've really preached, if you leave here or you leave the job site or whatever, go ahead and open your tarp.
Right.
Because if you're headed to the pit and it doesn't open up there, then you're probably farther away and have a problem, like running up to Fairplay. At least if your tarp's open, you can load a little bit less, get loaded, and get back down here. So I just wanted to clarify for the new guys, the best thing, if you're leaving here or leaving the job site, open the tarp up, even though, you're not tarped all the time, but that allows you somehow to get your next load if it happens to fail.
Yeah, I accidentally combined those two. I just remember Fabio said some tarps, two completely different things. Sweeping out on the street and running with your tarp open, completely different, but now we've tackled them both. But great job by Ray Ray. That was really,
absolutely.
Really good, enjoyable.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
and the whole personal thing about taking care of yourself, whether it's stress or different stuff like that, and being isolated in the cab, and you mentioned it a lot. There's a lot of life here that goes on at JFW, and it's no matter how great everybody is and how many superstars and everything else, life still gets in your way. Yeah. There's family deaths and problems and illnesses, and you can't make that go away, and you got to take care of yourself, and sometimes you just have to reach out and ask for some help. And that's not weak. Sometimes not sometimes, I look at it when people reach out, that takes some strength, to do that. Because, sometimes you just don't want people to know.
You become vulnerable, and if you've ever been vulnerable and then somebody took advantage of that, kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely, Jim.
But just know, if you come to somebody on the leadership team here and communicate what's going on in your life, we're not going to judge you. We will try to help you to the best of our capabilities. Plus, you got Ray as a resource as well. He
mentor.
Just opened the door. Like, he could actually say, hey, me too. Oh, you got this going on? Well, me too. I got this going on, and we're going to overcome this together as a family.
Yeah.
So
it's so funny because so many things come from the way we're wired. And what I mean by that is we were designed for sheerly survival. And you go back to caveman days, you know what I mean? Your anxiety was, there's a lion standing there. Am I going to survive this? You're either going to kill it or it's going to kill you. And you didn't have the worry of anything else besides that. So now we have all this anxiety. We have this anxiety function that has to find other things to be anxious about. So we don't have that trigger anymore of survival. You know what I mean? The majority of us don't, right? That fight or flight pattern. I mean, some people have that are put in those scenarios. The average person doesn't, and it's pretty interesting when you do some research on it.
Healthy debate here, right?
Here we go.
And I see your point, but I feel, and my belief system is, we are designed for community and relationship, right? So in a community, it's easier to fight that lion or that bear or that dinosaur or whatever, the caveman had to do than do it by himself. Sometimes we become these lone wolves that don't want to participate in the community. And when you start having some mental health stuff coming up, or, you're sitting there in your truck just stewing on things, you're not really designed to fight that on your own. You have people and resources to help you. So
I think it's funny, that term lone wolf, and nothing against what you said. I totally agree, Jim.
Healthy debate. It's
funny because the term lone wolf shouldn't exist because all wolf are pack animals.
Right.
So how did we get the lone wolf? That's the stranger.
Right.
That's the one that doesn't fit in the pack. Right? So
sure.
Therefore, you've just created anxiety, or that one has the anxiety and whatnot. That lone wolf.
Sure.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Soup, you want to hit us with that high road hauling?
Sure.
And if it's not as good as last week's, Dave, I'm just out. I'm out.
I hope so.
Smack us with it, Dave.
I think everybody suffers a little bit from this, and then some people suffer a lot. Okay, and I love the opening line, but Jam didn't know what the hell it was, so maybe you guys do.
Wow.
Do you have a drama llama?
I don't like drama llamas.
Yes, it's right next to my anxiety angel.
Exactly, right?
I think that's more of a term of our girls' ages, Super Dave.
Yeah. Well, he never saw the Liberty Mutual commercial where he goes in to do something. I don't even remember, but he brings the llama with him. And then he goes, oh, well, that was easy. I guess I didn't need my drama llama.
Yeah. Did any of your girls, because Allie or I'm sure Erica, they can go with their hands like sad llama, happy llama, drama llama, and they do it all with their hands.
Oh,
and
wow.
It's got ears.
No.
And they have this whole llama routine. It is hilarious.
I'm going with Allie.
Both of them can do it, but Allie can rock it. She's like, this is a sad llama, happy llama, and it's hilarious.
I want to see that.
All with their hands. It's hilarious, Dave.
Oh, that's great.
Jam's making notes over here.
So anyway,
final discussion's coming. It's gonna be heated.
I was drawing a llama.
He's like,
so unnecessary drama takes you away from living life to the fullest, right? Life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes these ups and downs are sweeping dramatic events. In fact, drama often accompanies major life changes or transitions. These really big monumental times in our life affect us deeply, often changing the way we live, the course and direction of where we go, and what we do. For the most part, these are normal and happen to most of us. Then there are the dramas of everyday life, the way we see life, the way we process life, the way we've learned to deal with life from those around us. Some people view everything they do as incredibly challenging, monumental in its perceived outcome, and often fraught with catastrophic results if things go awry. So much of it is dependent on how people have experienced life as it unfolds. Some people just have that dramatic flair about them, and some people need drama to feel alive. Regardless of why people choose to process life in a dramatic way, the bottom line is that some people need to turn what most of us might consider very small issues into major problems. So before you try to figure out how to avoid other people's drama, it's important to ask yourself if you crave drama and why you might be attracted to it. Once you've figured out if you're part of the problem and what you can do about that, you can then focus on ways to avoid other people's drama. And here are some points to consider. So first, assess your relationships. What kind of people are you attracted to, and who do you draw into your life? The point is to minimize people who bring drama into your life. Look for people who are easy to be around, who are not demanding, and who have a positive outlook on life. Next, consider how you interact with others. Be fully present, learn to listen and observe before you jump in, especially if the interaction or conversation becomes reactive or emotional. If someone is being overly dramatic, step back and distance yourself. Don't offer advice or solutions, especially if you haven't been asked. Downplay the drama and try to steer the conversation to something more neutral. Focus on your own life. Your own life should be most important to you. Some of us believe that being a good human being means that you need to sacrifice your time and effort in order to help others. And this is true. It's important to care for others and what happens to them, but never at the expense of yourself and your own well-being. Next, boundaries. Establishing boundaries sends the signal to others that you have your limits and about how involved you are likely to become. When you set boundaries, you're better able to distance yourself from others. You're less likely to engage in their issues and attach to their outcome. And last, develop strategies. Sometimes, especially when we're younger, we may get pulled into a situation that is so fraught with drama, so time-consuming, so stressful, so frustrating, that we are left exhausted and depleted. But ultimately, it could actually be a good learning experience. What it may teach us is what to look for, the kind of person that may try to engage us in their dramas, and what we should be prepared to do in the event that they try to bring drama into our lives. So remember that you can't change or fix people. They have to want to do this themselves, but often maintaining a dramatic stance gets them more of what they think they want. And they will find or make drama wherever they go. So don't envision yourself as their savior. Stay neutral, logical, and unemotional. In other words, don't react. Getting people involved, emotional, and excited is the goal of those drama seekers. And the more, the merrier. So worst comes to worst, physically distance yourself, remove yourself from high drama and things that are unraveling in the moment. If necessary, remove yourself from the relationship entirely. And I love this quote, and it kind of ties into what we started the podcast about listening to other people, letting other people rule your emotions or your choices. But anyway, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. And that was spoken by Steve Jobs.
Very nice.
So there you go. Leave your drama llama at home.
Drama llama.
There's a drama-free zone over here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Miss me with all that. Who wants to go with their final thoughts first?
I'll jump in there just because I can kind of tag on that drama, Dave. There's a lot obviously our presidential elections are ramping up, and it just leads me to political issues that are drama filled here. And a lot of drama means you're not using your mind. It's a lot of other things involved in that, and we have to use our minds with everything we do. And I guess I have a quote that I'll use a couple times through here, is that elections have consequences. And that friend of mine, Ray Scott, he's told me this 50 times, and I guess he's just beaten into me. And I'm trying to share it with other people now. But you take our current elected officials, for example, the new mayor here in Denver, Mike Johnson, and he's going to wind up spending just this year alone $48 million. I know Jam searched it the other day on the homelessness situation, and they were able to get that money out of the budget, create that money out of the budget in 2023. And there's supposedly, when Jam looked it up, we were talking about it a week ago, there's another $40 million that they're talking about for the homeless. So we're looking about $84 million. But if you just stick with the 48 that has been spent, and I hear that number, and because we deal with money financially every day as a business, I don't think a lot of people, they just hear that number. They're like, oh, wow, that was $48 million. But they don't put it to anything. And what I mean by that is it doesn't have relevance. They just hear $48 million. And when you watch our news, or you see lawsuits settled, or you talk about things, those numbers mean something. There's a value to that $48 million. And I guess I want everyone to think about that. $48 million. This is a news flash, right? Have any of you done anything in Denver? Do you know the costs that have skyrocketed here in Colorado? So take the issue of the homelessness with Denver. They've spent $48 million. To give you an idea, or put that number in perspective, JFW could order and pay for 285 brand new trucks with that $48 million. Or we could replace our whole fleet almost 3 times. Could replace our whole fleet almost 3 times. And I guess there's nothing that our government does that the private sector couldn't do better. If we had a private business, if someone owned this business that said, hey, you need to take care of the homeless, and the private business was like, good, it'll just take $48 million, the president, CEO, the board members, everybody be like, we don't have $48 million. Are you off your rocker? Are you kidding me? We don't have $48 million. It could be done for half. We'll get you 50% of that. It could be done for half. And Jam, you can attest to this. I mean, you've come to us and been like, hey, we want to do this, and this is what it's going to cost. And we're like, not going to happen.
No, it's not going to cost that.
Because we can't afford to do it, right? I mean, you have all of these things, right? So I guess what I'm saying here is, again, and I'm going to say this many more times, is elections have consequences. Vote with your mind and your pocketbook, not just your heart. And good leaders do have compassion. It is possible to have both, right? So that was just City of Denver, for example. Let's step up on a federal level. We're just shy of spending $500 billion. That's billion with a B, and I'm going to say capital B, like, oh boy, capital B, right? On the border crisis and healthcare for the immigrants that are coming over. $500 billion. And I know everyone that's listening, they've heard that we're trillions in debt. My calculator, I don't have a calculator that can do trillions. Did you guys know that? Like the little desk calculator I have, it won't go over 50 million. It won't even go to billions. So I have to take my phone and actually turn it sideways to get into billions. I've never even tried trillions. So we're talking about a number that doesn't even exist on calculators that we use. Everybody wrap their head around that. So just 2023, the United States has spent almost $500 billion on healthcare and the border crisis. Just that alone, $500 billion on those two components.
Which not to interrupt you, Dave, sorry, which is not Americans.
Right.
Not healthcare for Americans, and obviously people
not healthcare for our veterans, not healthcare for our homeless. This is the immigrant crisis. crossing the border,
and health care
for them.
Right? Okay.
Period.
Yep.
Period. And I guess what I'm trying to drive home here is the point of how we become numb on these numbers. And I know I asked Super Dave, so I have to take him out of this question, but do Jam and Jim, do you guys know how many Americans there are, how many people live in America?
Is it 8? No, I don't.
I had to search it, right? 2023 census says there's 334 million people that live in America.
In the United States, right? 334.
Yes, in the United States. Yep, right. Not the world, just America.
Right, yeah.
These numbers, just what the United States have spent. So we've spent $500 billion with a B on the crisis border and healthcare for the people coming over across the border. There's only 334 million people that live here in America. If you take just the $500 billion that we've wasted, that our government has wasted, no one's asked us. They just do this because we elect them and give them the power to do this. If they took that $500 billion and gave it to the 334 million people that would be here, they would cut each of us a check for $14.9 million.
Wow.
Jam, that's a check for you for $14.9 million. Ace, $14.9 million. Bella, $14.9 billion. Million. Sorry. My millions in. See, I'm becoming numb to it. You just start talking about it and you become numb to it. But when you put it in perspective like that, I would like to go home today and get my check in the mail for $14.9 million. I'd like to have my wife get her check for $14.9 million. Mm-hmm. But our government takes that and they don't think twice about it. They don't think twice about it. These are our elected officials. They don't know how to run a business. Most of them have never had to make a payroll like we've made.
Right.
Jim and I have spent our lives securing and building a business to help employees make a living, and we could never have careless spending like this. So elections have consequences. This isn't brain surgery. Ask where your taxes are going. These people aren't good leaders. There is no government branch in existence anywhere that could do anything as well as private industry. We are hands down better than anything the government could ever do. And because I typed it out this morning, I'm going to say it again. Did I mention elections have consequences?
You did.
Would you like a check for $14.9 million, Jam?
Absolutely.
I bet you wouldn't be so selfish. You'd be like, just one check at our house, I'd be all right.
Yeah, just give Bella the $14.9 billion.
Right? The three of you could live pretty well off $14.9 million.
You know what comes to
the rest of your life.
You know what comes to my mind, and I digress, right? But if everybody in America got a check for $14.9 million, nobody would work. You couldn't go do anything because the stores would be empty. Nobody's going to build anything.
We'd be out spending money. We'd be shopping. We need food. We need groceries.
Who's going to work at the grocery store?
I guess that's my point, Jim. That's how much money of ours they're wasting. And they continue to raise taxes. They continue to not repair our roads. They continue to do all these things. And I guess
I'd want to see, sorry to interrupt, but I want to see what that money is actually used for. Like, what costs that much money?
That's just the straight report. I mean, I didn't make the number up.
Oh yeah,
it's in everything. I mean, it's just shy of $500 billion.
Yeah, Jam, I don't know if it's true because I did talk and we went over it. I did talk to an Uber driver one time, and he's been moving immigrants in Arizona. And I know Dave's ran across this. We pay an immigrant $5,000 cash. The United States does. Mm-hmm. And then I know there's some cities that even pay you more. So I'm thinking that's some of that money that you just get for free, and you just show up here.
Right, but I mean, $14.9 million for one person. Do you think that's going to cover a lot of those $5,000 bills that we're giving?
Pretty quickly, right? I mean, or a lot of it.
I mean, all of it.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I guess that's the mind-staggering part, Jam. And I don't even know how many trillions we're in debt. Isn't it like 34 trillion? Or I don't even know the number. I shouldn't even say that because
33.99 trillion.
No, I was pretty close.
There you go.
34 trillion.
Just looking it up.
Crazy, right? So we let our government make these decisions, and it makes me sick when you realize how much money is wasted. It is absolutely wasted. And I don't know about the rest of the people listening, but I bet y'all work pretty damn hard for your money. So, here's the kind of last paragraph. I just, have a bit to add to it, but we've let our climate change enthusiasts continue to crush our economy. They've created this issue that only America is trying to solve, right? And when I say that, these enthusiasts have crushed our economy because clearly pollution has no borders. This big rock we live on spins, right? We've allowed our leaders to stop all of our oil production. Day one, Biden stopped the pipeline. Week one, he shut down oil production on all U.S. soil. Throughout his administration, the first 6 months, he ended all federal leases to permit to drill for oil. So as we continue to strangle our economy, the Democratic beliefs to make our air cleaner, but do we do anything to stop greenhouse gas emissions in China?
Nope.
Or India or anywhere? That little girl from Switzerland that didn't even get a high school diploma that is our climate specialist, is she protesting in China?
Nah.
Is she protesting in Russia or India?
Be too uncomfortable.
Right. No, it's just here in America tugging at our heartstrings, and it's strangling us. It is ending our economy. I've just recently spoke with a lady who's running for Adams County Commissioner, and one of her biggest things is emissions, and she said, I just want clean air and water. And I hear that, and I've heard it for years now. Well, guess what? Who's providing that clean water? We are. We are helping provide that clean water. We're the one putting the infrastructure in the ground. We're the one providing the pipe. Hell, we've had Rich Trumbull on the show that's worked for Garney for 30 years. He provides where all the water comes in, or his company does. He specializes on the dirty side, right? Where all of our shitty water goes, right? To these reclamation centers and reclaims the water and this and that and all the fresh water being brought in. But we're providing that. We provided that during COVID. We do all of that. We're providing the ability to have the cleanest water in the world. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't traveled anywhere in the United States. I can't drink out of a sink. But bottled water is huge, right? I mean, everybody has to have bottled water. I drink out of the tap at home. It seems to be just fine. So as we're not doing anything to stop the greenhouse gas emissions in the other countries, and no one's saying anything to China about all that, how did we get here? I can tell you, our elections have consequences. That's how we're here. Elections have consequences. So vote with your mind. Vote with your head. Vote with what's costing you your living, how you're barely getting by. Vote with that. Our government needs to be ran with a business mentality, not a tug at our heartstrings. And good leaders can lead with compassion. Just think about the numbers I've given you, because this is real. It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Mail me my check for $14.9 million. I'll cash out. It would be so much easier. So, did I mention elections have consequences?
Yeah, it's a struggle though, Dave, and totally 100% agree with everything you said. But like Dave's, because you said it ties in there, but Dave's High Road Holland and on the elections, there is so much rhetoric, there's so much drama.
Oh, drama llama.
To cut through the stuff and get to the facts. And every time you educate me on something or we educate ourselves, it's such a shell game. And it's what's behind. You're looking at this curtain, but everything's going on behind this curtain. And we learned that even with Mike and Joe on a couple weeks ago, when they said that the governor sets up the council that runs Pinnacle.
Right, that makes me sick.
And what does he have to do with safety in Pinnacle? And
it's his agenda, Jim. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but
yeah.
I have to remind everyone and throw it out there. Governor Polis sets the seats that run CDOT. That controls our roads and our bridges repair, right?
Yep.
He's stolen $500 billion with a B, just like this, from the budget over the next 20 years from Colorado.
From our
paperwork.
infrastructure budget to strengthen his green initiative.
Greenhouse gas initiative, right? He sets the council who controls the PUC. They're the ones that approve your gas hikes for Xcel Energy.
Yep.
He sets the council who runs the Colorado Department of Clean Air.
Yep.
He sets every seat for everything in Colorado, and it's all based on his agenda.
But see, that's my question. That's where I think people are disheartened about their elections or what they're getting, because lots of people voted him in, Dave, right?
Yeah, overwhelmingly last year.
Right? But how did you know his agenda was this stuff behind the game? I mean, I just learned because of the podcast that he appoints the commission for Pinnacle.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm so, did you happen to vote for Joe Biden and I think he did say in his election, but he was going to stop the drilling.
Oh no, he's going to keep fracking. He's not going to stop drilling. That's exactly what he said.
Right.
But they all lie.
Yeah. I'm not
going to sit here and say they don't all lie.
And to get through that drama, that's where I'm so, disheartened. I mean, just on the radio this morning, me and you were listening, everybody was saying, well, Joe Biden might win if he keeps his mouth shut because he sounds so crazy talking. But then they said the same thing about Trump. He could win if he just kept his mouth shut.
Right.
And you're just like, that's neither one of those guys is who I want running our country.
Right.
And you're just, gosh, to get through it is just, I love to see behind the curtains. And then as we, again, you educate me or we educate ourselves, when you learn about the stuff, you're so disheartened.
Oh, it's sickening.
So like
sickening.
Yeah, and so like Dave said, you got to go vote. You got to kind of dig through. You got to have conversations. So
if you think you're not affected by it, you're clueless.
Right, absolutely. So that leads me to my closing arguments here. This is the same thing we're all talking about, but here is what I think the issue is, or this is what I'd like to think the issue is. If you are a victim of circumstances, and our circumstances, we're a victim of our political outcome right now, right? We're all playing the victim, especially if we could all have $14 million, right? So, but you will always be a victim of your circumstances. But the thing is successful people also are the victim of their circumstances, right? They have the same circumstances you did, but and problems, but maybe they've become successful. Now, successful might mean all sorts of different things to different people. I'm not saying successful that you're Jeff Bezos with trillions of dollars, right? But what they did do, and that's what Dave's asking you to do here, is if they're successful, they must have had a different solution to your same problems, right? They became an expert somehow in whatever they're doing, okay? So just remember that. They had the same problems, but they came up with a different solution that they were confronted with. So what we ask you in this podcast, what Dave's just asking you, is to pay attention to the people that you think are successful and pay attention to their solutions and what they've done. If you don't know about it, pay attention to it. And again, doesn't have to be in dollars. My example would be, if I want to know something about guns, I come to Jam. He'll tell me he's probably not an expert, but I know his passion for guns. He's going to know more about it than I am, so I want to know about it. I'm going to ask him. He does a safety class, right? So if I want to know something about the trucks, I go and ask Mikey. If I want to know about if I want to know about a political answer, I ask Brother Dave. His solution is go out and vote. If I want to know something about hiring, I ask Super Dave. He deals with it every day. What kind of, are we have a lot of people coming in the door? We're not having a lot of people apply. What kind of people are you seeing? He's an expert. He's going to give me expert feedback because he does it every day. And I think that's what we have to look at is we have to look at whatever your circumstances are, and you're stuck in it because we all have had the same circumstances. You need to come up with a different solution. And if that's by voting, vote. If that's by doing a pre-trip and a post-trip, do it. If that's by stopping before you pull on the scale, do it. If that's, making sure your paperwork's in your truck, that changes your circumstances. If I go out and drive the truck today, I'm going to go over that truck really well because I've listened to this podcast and I know we have issues, right? So for my circumstances to come out different, I have to have a different solution.
Take control.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off that. At the end of the day, a lot of it just comes back to falling on you as a person. And it was really refreshing. I got to meet, the other day I got to meet the guy as a captain of an engine in the fire department up in Longmont. A captain of an engine basically means he's in charge of that truck. Like he's a shop foreman of that truck. They go to fight a fire, that's his truck, that's his crew. There's other engines, there's other fire trucks, they have their own captains. But this guy, he warned us, he is not politically correct. But he was talking about the expectations of being on his team. They're really high. And he doesn't care who he offends about it, right? So if you're not learning or if you're not knowing and you're not doing everything in your capabilities to learn it, you're not going to be on his team. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what that means to your career. He doesn't care what it means to the fire department. He doesn't care what it means to the city of Longmont. If you don't meet his expectation, you're not going to be on his truck. Maybe you could go on one of the other engines, but I have a feeling those guys, those captains are probably the same way. And there was a lot of explicitives and, basically he tells you, get the F out. Like, he doesn't expect you to be perfect, but if you go over it one time and the expectation's set, like those things that don't take any skill, that are just will, you didn't check your equipment or, you didn't do, I'll relate it to JFW. You didn't do your pre-trip. Like you're not meet the expectation. Get off my team.
Right.
You didn't do a post-trip. You didn't write up a flat tire. Get off my team. Like you may be able to get away with that once, but after we talk about it, now you know it.
Right.
Get off the team. Get out. Mm-hmm. Right. You can't keep your truck clean, and I don't mean because it was snowy out. I mean because you're too lazy to throw your trash out at the end of the day, and the end of the next day, and the end of the next day. Get out. Get out. When this dude came in the other day, the dude with the dirty truck, he walked in the front door like, I don't know what was going through his head, but he walked in and he's like, I'm going to haul mail for the U.S. Postal Service, or I'm going to haul U.S. mail, or he was so excited, and I was going to rain on his parade. I was like, that's great. I wish you the best of luck. And in my heart, I felt relieved that he's not going to be on the team anymore. He doesn't meet the expectation and the standard of what we should be setting. Granted, we are a little bit more forgiving and we give grace and we like to coach people up and give chances, and people got families, and maybe you may look at it like, well, the captain of the engine, there's people's lives on the line at his job. But aren't there lives on the line at our job? If a mechanic doesn't put the lug nuts back on the right way,
Absolutely.
Can somebody die? If a guy doesn't pre-trip his truck, can somebody die? Right. Yeah, people's lives are on the line as well. It's dangerous. Could be your teammate. You may do something that could hurt somebody here at JFW. If the mechanics aren't doing their jobs right, somebody could lose their life or their limb. If you're not looking, like I think about the person that was run over in a wheelchair, and I'm not blaming that driver, but what if you're at the fuel aisle and somebody was walking in front of your truck and slipped, and you didn't know because you weren't paying attention and you ran them over?
Yeah.
Those are life-changing events, not only for the person that gets hurt, but for you as well.
Right.
So, I'm here saying, if you know how to do the job and you're not doing it, you shouldn't be on the team. And if you don't know and you're not trying to learn, I don't think this is a place for you either. So that's my final thought.
Agreed. Just kind of off the subject, but about that captain, Jim. Mm-hmm. Do you think when he shows up on a scene, he cares about your pronouns?
No, and
He needs to know whether you're a male or a female.
right. So he brought up pronouns. So to give you the whole story, he was an instructor at one of my EMT courses, and when he came in, he pretty much said, because there's some people in the class that look different, and he pretty much said, I don't care what you're into. I don't care what you do in your time off. I don't care if you are here because you want to open up a daycare because you don't want a kid to die in your class. But what I do care about is if you're not going to give 100% in this class, get the F out right now. I mean, this is an instructor at a college saying, get out of this class right now if you're not going to give you 100%. He said, I'm not going to read you the book. You know how to read. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in this class. I'm not going to read you all these PowerPoints. We'll use them as a guide to create discussion, but you should be able to read a PowerPoint. What I am going to do is say, if you're not going to read the book on your own and know the different parts of the body, get out. You don't belong here. This is something that's going to fall on you at the end of the day. So, and you need to know these things. I'm not going to teach it to you. You need to go out and you need to learn it on your own. So, yeah, doesn't care about pronouns, but cares about your effort.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, when and I'm going back to a little kid as watching. What was that show with the fire department when we grew up? It was like the first fire show, and they were always out rescuing someone. Right?
I don't know.
Was it Rescue 911?
I was going to say
It could be.
911, but
Yeah,
Could be.
right. I mean, the first thing they did when they got on scene is like have a 30-year-old female,
Patient assessment.
right?
Scenario.
30-year-old male,
Right. Chief complaint is chest pain, shortness of breath.
right? And they need to know that.
Right.
They don't get on the radio and go 30-year-old.
Person identifies as a unicorn.
Exactly.
Right.
We have a furry. We have a potential furry.
we have a heartbeat on their horn.
Right.
They need to know what they're working on.
Right.
So
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys that, and you brought up the same thing, Dave, and my question, and I know you have the answer to it, Jim, is after meeting that captain and whether he's politically correct, and I think you could ask, at least I hope you could ask somebody that was feeling this way, but, in our woke society, he or she politically correct, do you want him to show up and put out the fire at your house? Or do you want a group that's worried about what their pronoun is?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I think that's and that's what you were getting at, and I understand that, but I was just trying to give it a different context of, you just describing him. I want him to can I call him?
Right.
Because I don't know what everybody else is going to do showing up at my house.
sounds to me like we should have him on the podcast.
I would spend too much time editing. Like, I mean, every other word was MF and F this and get out. And
I'm sure if we told him, I bet he can handle that just fine.
nope. No. I'm telling you, yeah.
He was just, you could take this out. He was just like, fuck it, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't care. Like, he had actually students complain about him because they felt like he pushed things too far, and they were going to let him go. So he told the president of Front Range and two other hotshots there, okay, yeah, you want to fire me? Cool, come to my class first. Come to one of my lectures. And they came to a lecture, and they sat through it. He said they all walked out with their heads down, and they never spoke to him since, but they didn't fire him. And this was years ago. So, yeah, he will not censor anything. He's that dude. He'll just tell you, like, this is who I am.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would love to have him on. I'll ask
Yeah.
him, but I don't know that he is capable
Gotcha.
of turning.
Sure.
Or we could have him on and publish it. I don't care.
On that podcast, Jim, you'd have to do the expressed opinion
Right.
statement right at the very beginning.
Yeah, this guy, honestly, like, I was waiting for him because I feel like there's been some weak instruction during this class, and I've been waiting for this guy, and he kind of lit a fire into my ass, like, why am I here? You
Right.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
am I going to live up to his standard? Because I have a career. My career is here at JFW, but I would want him to look at me and be like, oh, you want to volunteer on my team, or you want to, he basically said, when you get out of this class, you may know enough to have dinner with me. Like, You know,
that's funny.
like he was just, he was the guy I've been waiting for, and I just would love to relate his attitude about his team to JFW, because really, it's not about nouns or pronouns or he, she. Like the point I was trying to drive home is we have expectations here, right? You have a heavy permit, we don't want you running over 92,000 pounds, right? You get here in the morning, we want you to be here on time.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be late once in a while, but you shouldn't be late 3 days a week.
I bet none of his team members are late. Sorry to.
Oh, I bet they're early. I bet they're early, checking equipment, right? You have a problem with a system on the truck, we expect you to write it up. We don't even expect you to fix it. But do the job right. Like I'm just getting a little bit worn out on the lack of effort.
You show up to a fire and go, it's always been that way?
Yeah. That was like that when I got here.
The pump doesn't pump water. Sorry. It's always been like that.
The oxygen bottle's out. Oh, it must have came out over the weekend.
Yeah, so why, and you mentioned it, Jam, because we can go out and kill people so easy. So why is it okay for us to be okay with
mediocre,
with screwing up?
Yeah, why is mediocre at best?
I mean, maybe it's because his industry is very competitive with people that want to get on that team, and the pool of people of that caliber is bigger.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, getting onto that guy's truck. Trust me, like you had to put in the work.
Being on the low road, being the drama and what we deal with, and when you go places, I would think the pool to get on that team just keeps shrinking, Jim. That would be a fear of mine. You know, it'd be like going, if the United States had to go to war, could we rally behind our country? Could we defend our country?
It worries me.
Hold on, let me put my bong down. Yeah.
And I guess that's what. Probably I did a poor job of trying to explain it, but that's what I hope. You know, we talk about safety stuff in our trucks and doing all that kind of stuff, but this is a great way to reach a small group of people that's hopefully reaching
other people.
That we're not making things up, you guys. We're not drama filled. We're not nothing. This is just facts.
Yeah, I guess just looking at the situation with the dirty truck too. I don't really know why that driver quit, but all he did is ask him to clean his truck up and put it to the way that he found it.
And that was too much.
Yeah. I mean, he just selected himself.
Yep.
Unless there was something else going on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
To my point, that's the guy we want going to war with us?
Nope. No, I don't. I mean,
or on the Chiefs team?
Nope.
That's what, we're looking for that. We're looking for that firefighter, and to make us better.
Absolutely.
That's what, just right quick, Jim, that's what, you think of the cruise I just went on. I am, 90% positive that, because it was Norwegian, that the service that we received all over that boat or that ship, if you're not willing to give that service, you're not on that boat.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. If you're either not willing just to do the job or don't have the heart for that position, Norwegian, you're not on that boat very long.
Right.
I bet they can drop you in a port pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the people that work there make some quan too,
right?
Because there's no taxes because they're at sea, my understanding.
But we've seen the people, Dave, and I don't know when they took breaks. You don't see that, but it was the same guy at 6 o'clock if we were up.
Yep.
And the same guy at 6 o'clock that night.
Right.
They're
busting it.
Yeah, and they're what they pull off. Me and Super Dave talk about it quite a bit. That you have the people when you go into dock to get off the ship. They get off. You got 4 hours, and in between the people that get back on is another 4 hours. They've exchanged that whole ship in 4 hours, basically, off and on, and they're back out sailing. And it's just. It can be done. That's the other companies are doing. We're doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, the guy that works on Norwegian, he would probably come here and look at our operation in the morning and see the trucks come back at night and be like, wow, you guys are going to do this again in 12 hours? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, this is an impressive operation. Like, there's no doubt in my mind we are the Norwegian Cruise Lines of Endem trucking. You know, we are, you know, we have the engine that this guy Troy Bohm runs and is the captain of, right? We are that. We are that, you know, but people got to want it more than we want it for them. You know, you got to want to learn more than we want to coach you up. You got to want to do good more than we want it to be good. So,
Yep. And that's the reason for this podcast.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what it's developed into. It's you know, we've explicitly in those 2 interviews we just did for the new position, Jim. They both wanted to know what we expected. And we've told you what we expect right here, right now.
Yep.
There is no guessing. And Super Dave's heard it for years. Well, you didn't tell me that, right, Super Dave? You didn't tell me that. Well, you know, and we've gotten better through the years. Well, here's the signature page with your signature on it.
Right.
I think I did.
Yep.
Right? And
Pretty sure we did.
yeah. So, yeah.
Soup, you got, oh, sorry. You done, Jim?
Yeah, dum.
I'm sorry.
Dum.
Soup, you got anything else?
You know, it comes down to, at the end of the day, do you want to win the championship?
Right.
And if you do, you've got to go the extra mile to get there. You got to do your job better. You've got to have more excitement and enthusiasm. You have to believe. You know, you can't just go through the motions. And I do say this a lot. Everybody is going to know this. In the interviews, I say, we want to go out and win the Super Bowl every single day. And it's hard, you know. And believe me, we all have days that we're not going to win the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
But you just got to keep swinging.
You know, and,
Right.
and like Dave just said, you know, the mess up with the tickets. You know, he's not like pouting out in a corner.
What a failure.
Yeah, I mean, what a, you know.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, we should fire him. But what he took from that is, I'm sure he'll never make that mistake. And like again, like you said, Jam, uncharacteristic. But the sweet thing about all of that is that the people we had with us to help us out with that,
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're asking
Yeah.
for. We're all going to screw up, but how do we get past that? And that's having a culture of people around you.
Right. I mean, I hope I drove that point home.
Oh, you did,
Those
Dave.
guys
You can't-
didn't call me and go, "What do you want me to do?"
Yeah.
They
Is this
called
what you want?
They called me and said, "This is what we've got.
Options.
Right.
Are you sure?" And
Options.
we've checked into this.
Yeah.
Right. And then it was like next obstacle, and they didn't call and go, "What do you want me to do?" I mean,
Or just sit at the airport, miss that flight, and just sit there until you call them.
until I come up with something.
yeah,
Right.
or like, hey, why are you guys still at the airport? Oh, we didn't.
I mean, those guys brainstormed every step of the way, called me with the plan, and I was like, all I had to do was go, okay. I mean, and it was funny. They called me with plan A. What do you want to do, Dave? Okay, sounds good. Do it. They called me with plan B. Okay, sounds good. Do it. And then we're to plan C. It's like, yeah, you got to do it. Okay, let's do it.
You know,
I mean, they just rock stars.
Yeah, and the thing though too, Dave, is I want to, because you might come up with an idea or a plan, but you also have to look that it's not just good for you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just your goal. We're group orientated.
Yeah.
You touched on that earlier, Jam. When you had the discussion about the lone wolf and stuff, and that. But we're a society of people, you know, and we're better as a group, you know, and we have so many sayings about that too, and we just gotta keep battling.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to jump back on just a little bit of work. We've literally just come through 30 days of hell, right? I mean, the weather is finally nice this week. Looks like we could have some possible snow showers on Friday again. And it's just like, but I mean, don't get beat down. This is winter, you know? I mean, it has been a brutal January. Everybody that's hanging in there has been doing a great job, but it's been rough. I'm not going to lie to you. And then the cold snap and, you know, super slow on work and just all of that. So spring's right around the corner. Everything will get back to normal. Everybody will be begging for a day off pretty soon, you know, so.
And I wanted to mention too, and I forgot, you know, thanks for reminding me, Dave, just kind of opposite of that, I thought, because we're busy today. We couldn't put all the trucks we've been putting on C-Mex and stuff like that. if you haven't been working, you might be a little rusty.
Yeah,
And
good point.
take it a little bit slow.
Yeah.
Check your truck out. Check the truck out that you got assigned to today. Do all that stuff. It's not a rush. You don't have to go make up for the last month.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't. You need to work today and tomorrow and the next day, and pretty soon you put a winning season together for that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So take it easy.
Yeah, you can't go up to Firestone, put on 92,000 for your permit, and go to Castle Rock
Yep.
down I-25.
You can.
Well, just saying, not a good plan.
No.
So, yeah, you can't make up for what we've lost in one day. Steady Eddie. So,
No.
it's
Great
coming.
advice.
Hang in there.
Yep. Guys ready to say the creed?
I hope
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Together we face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are accident free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions. Together we are the JFW family. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We work for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. I hear there's a couple million tons to move. I see them everywhere. So you best get out their way and watch that sand and gravel disappear. There's another run to make. We gotta get it there on time. And we got what it takes to lay it all out on the line. We'll lay it all out on the line. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks got the best drivers in town. They got all the tools they need to keep that hammer down. When they hit them scales, they won't need to dodge them, won't need to duck them. They just keep that hammer down, and they keep that diesel trucking. Keep that hammer down, and keep that diesel trucking. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. They just keep them doors a-closed, keep them butts in their seats, cause those customers are calling, and those red trucks can't be beat. They've gotta put the hammer down and pick up another load. Get it off the ground, keep them eyes open and on the road. Keep them eyes open on the road. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Breaker 23, anybody got a copy on that Channel 23 podcast? Welcome, and thanks for listening.